The software is a little unhappy about a few issues. We're having some software issues, which always makes online training fun. So I'm going to turn my recorders on, make sure that guy's happy. And if we knock out, we have a backup system. We'll flip over there, so just bear with us. They quote-unquote upgraded the software at GoToWebinar, and I think denial seems to be a common approach in a lot of the tech support department. So they're still in a state of denial that they've got some issues with the new upgrade, and we're working with them to try to fix it. So let me turn my recorder on this guy and we'll get started. So welcome to our lunchtime coffee webinar. We're going to look at some simple diagnostic techniques that you hopefully are doing or should be doing or would like to know about doing that will help you sort of understand how your website is performing in terms of your SEO. So I like this idea from Aristotle about excellence being not an act, not an outcome, but something that we habitually do, sort of the practices that we use. So what are we doing? We're explaining SEO, social media AdWords. That's our objective. We're going to do hands-on step-by-step instructions and push the limits of this cantankerous little software here. And today we're going to look into diagnostics. So, of course, we teach SEO, social media, and AdWords if you don't know about us, and you can find out more at our website. So that's our shameless plug there. My name is Jason McDonald. If you've never taken a class from us, I teach our classes. I love my students, and I want to emphasize if you have any questions, reach out to me. My information's there on the screen. Obligatory copyright stuff. We'll wait for a few last-minute folks, and we'll really begin. So we're going to make commentary on websites and their design today. In no way are we negative about any company or product. Secondly, the webinar is copyrighted. And third, SEO is an art as much as a science. So we're going to look at some technical stuff. We're going to look at some content stuff. We're going to look at some link stuff. We're going to look at some knowledge stuff in terms of our diagnostics. And there's our picture of Aristotle. So physician, heal thyself. I actually think that's not a quote from Aristotle, but I thought it was important to think about what we're doing as a company and sort of start to think about diagnostics that you'd want to be doing for your SEO. So the first area I want to talk about is technical diagnostics, sort of the technical part of SEO. So for instance, we want to really understand, how does Google perceive our websites? Is it well indexed? Is it robust? Do we have a lot of pages in the Google index or not? Is it updating our content frequently? And are we structured correctly, or are we being dinged for being disorganized and diagnostically impaired? So let me pop over here and let's look at our links. So all the links are going to be on the website. We'll send you an email later this afternoon with those. And I've got a couple companies I'm going to use as example. I'll use our company, I'll use 21st Century, and I'll also use a company called The General, which is in another insurance company. And I'm going to rely on Noel to shout out at me if I go dead here. Okay, so the first command I want to talk about is this very simple cite command that I think people should really get in the habit of using frequently. So you go to Google and you want to type in cite : in your domain with no space. So cite : with your no space between your domain and Google. So cite : jm-seo.org. They've changed the layout on Google just to drive us crazy. They've moved a lot of the goodies here to the top. They used to be over here on the left. So click on your search tools, go over here to any time, and go back in time, like past week, past month. And what you're looking for here, see if I can get my code. What you're looking for here, so you're putting in cite : in your domain, and I like to keep a track of the number too. I'll show you that in a second. I'll go back to that. And here's past week. So this tells us in the past week, Google has found 3 new items on our website. That's an important diagnostic in terms of your indexing patterns, and there's an attribute in SEO called freshness. You get a benefit across your entire website by having fresh content, by having frequently updated content. You can see here it's picking us up just a few days back. It's picking that content up. So you can say past week. Now let's go over here. Past 24 hours, maybe nothing. We don't update that frequently. Past week, past month. So you want to start to look and make sure that you're getting content that's being picked up on a weekly, monthly basis, because that's helping your freshness. Now let's go up here to any time. The other metric that you want to pay attention to is the total number of pages in the index. So we have about 3,300 pages in the index. I really set as a minimum goal for even a small company of 1,000 pages. And for many of you that may be quite a stretch, but you want to get up to those 1,000 and above numbers because bigger websites perform better. So you, on your spreadsheet, you can put how many pages are in the index, April, May, June, etc. That's a metric, and you can look at your indexing pattern. Are you being pulled past week? Now let's look at some of these other websites I thought we'd look at. Let's look at 21st Century here. So they're 21st.com, and they're kind of my current whipping boy. I'm sort of beating up on their SEO. So let's put in, get this to operate better here. So let's put in site:21st.com, and let's do all time. And here's where you can see in a metric level, this is a company that's not doing that well. It's only 1,700 results, and it's in the insurance industry, which is one of the most competitive. Now compare that metric to Progressive, 106,000. So if you worked at 21st Century, one of the things that this metric would tell you is you're sort of almost hopelessly outgunned by Progressive, so you've got to go into a niche search. You've probably got to start in a nichier search because they're so far ahead of you using this metric. So that's sort of the cite command. We can return back to that as we talk about it a little bit in discussion. But I think that command is very, very important as a diagnostic tool. Now, other technical tools that I want you to be doing, very simple rank checking tools. So this is one of my favorite rank checking tools. I've got the link there for you. And I want you to become, sort of paranoid about your ranking. And this tool is great when you're working on a blog post, when you're working on something that you're interested in. Put your domain in. Put in something that matters to you. Measure your results. Okay, now we're very interested right now in SEO tips, and you can see we're only in 32 for SEO tips. So one of my diagnostics is put in my short tail keywords, know how I'm doing, and I can tell where do I need to target? I need to target SEO tips. So this is a really good, quick tool for setting sort of those priorities, those diagnostic priorities. So this is a quick rank checking tool. And then, of course, everybody that's taken any of my classes, I always promote the rank checker tool. And I'm going to open that up here. Rank checker is a tool where you can put your keywords in and measure. And again, you're looking diagnostically for where am I less than 10, that's really good. Where am I less than 3, that's amazing, that's excellent. Where am I more than 10, where do I need to target? So rank checking tools, pretty obvious, I think, for most people doing SEO, but those are two of the better ones. The concept to get at is, where's my strength, where's my weakness, and end up with some keywords that you're targeting to improve. You don't want to work on things that you're already dominating. So that's a sort of a second one. Third tool that I want to share with you, very important, and this tool used to be in Webmaster Tools, and they've moved it, in their infinite wisdom in Google, they've moved it out of Webmaster Tools, and there's no linkage to it from Webmaster Tools. So you just have to know, oh, of course, it's located over here conveniently under Page Insights. What does this tool tell us? This tells us our speed. So you can put your website in here, and Google is increasingly sort of upset about speed on the web. They want speedy websites. You put your website in here and analyze, and what's nice about it in terms of your metrics is it gives you a score, 82 of 100, and it gives you recommendations on things that you can fix. So if you put your website in here and your score is 34, Houston, we have a problem. You really know at that point we have a big problem with our website score. So this is a speed diagnostic that's very important, and unfortunately they've moved it out of the other tools, and you have to go and look for it, and you have to know. So I want to measure my speed over time, and just, I'm sort of paranoid and neurotic. Check this every week and make sure that I'm in maybe the 70, 80 percentile, or it's not a percentile, but the score, and it helps us know where we are in terms of speed. So that's a sort of a really important one. Finally, I want to just log into analytics really quickly. And just sort of, when you make hopefully you're taking notes as if you're out here on the West Coast, you're eating lunch. It's a little bit more difficult. When you're back east, you're just, drinking your coffee or tea, taking notes. So some of the things in analytics that I think everybody needs to think about is inside of analytics, I like to have an advanced segment that I call non-branded. Let's find it here if I can find it here. I've got so many, but let's see. You guys get stage fright when you do a presentation. So what this is a metric of my non-branded, so that's people that didn't enter JM Internet Group, but they came from Google. So these are searches coming from Google, and you can tell that if you go to traffic sources and you look at all traffic, it's going to tell you this is all organic traffic. So I like to set this up, and then I can measure, go up here at a past month, and I'm going to show you in a second on our keyword worksheet. I can show in the past month how many people came from organic search to the website. That's an important metric. Is my SEO working? And not just my general SEO, my own name, my own company name, but my non-branded searches. So what are we talking about non-branded? That gets a lot of people confused. So let's go look at the advanced segment. I'll just show you take a nice screenshot for you there. So in a good non-branded, so this means the traffic is organic, but they're not entering our name, or Metex as a company kind of fouled up their account with ours. So that's getting rid of this sort of branded, in this case spurious traffic. So I'm looking at just organic traffic. Now once I've got that going, I can turn that guy on. Let me see if I can click down here. So now it's turned on, and then here's the second part of something so important to your metrics. Go to your conversions and go to goals, and you want to set up goals. So if you look at this, this means that, I could get that to cooperate here. May not show. Let me just do it this way. This means that in the past month, in October, we had 1,500 goals achieved on the website just from the non-branded SEO performance. So that's not everything. That's focused on this group of people. 800 viewing the free webinar, 65 emails, 473 looking at free stuff. Did I just crash, Noelle? I think I just crashed. I just crashed.
No, I don't think so. I mean, maybe. Well, perhaps. Everyone's kind of saying you're good, but now you seem to be gone. Hang in there. Sorry about this, everyone.
Kevin, everybody there? So you can hear me, Noelle?
I can hear you, and it looked like everyone could hear you, actually.
Yeah, so we're good. It's just this silly bug that they've got in the software. So let me go and flip back over to analytics here. This may mess up our recording, but fun with software.
Well, I'm still recording all the way through on this end, so it'll just be like a kind of a...
Yeah, just be a little weird little glitch in the middle.
I can just fast forward a little bit through this.
All right, so let's go back over here. And let me log in over here. Just bear with me. I'll get back to where I was. So what I was talking about is getting these goals. And so you want to know, from your analytics perspective, your sources of traffic, your referral traffic, your SEO traffic, especially your non-branded, maybe your direct traffic. And then what you want to do is link those down to specific goals. Let me turn this guy back on here. Okay, so now I have the advanced segment, and this is a little complicated. A lot of days lunchtime, we're just trying to give you some ideas. Then go over to your conversions, look at your goals. And what this is showing us then, get my audience view so I can make sure you guys are seeing it here. What this is showing you then is how many goals came from this segment. And that's something that you want to track, is your goal performance. So that's sort of a final thought there on technical issues. So technical issues, I'm interested in site because I want to know the total number of pages that are being indexed. I'm obviously very interested in rank. That's the most traditional of our SEO measurements. I want to know my page speed, and I want to measure that over time, and I want to look at analytics and sort of slice and dice those into different pieces. Okay, now let's go flip forward here, get back to where we were. Okay, so now let's talk of sort of a second area, which is our content diagnostics. So this is sort of one of my pet peeves. People say, you know, content is king on the internet. Well, it is, but within the idea of well-structured content is king. Content that's correctly linked. So we want to think about content, but we want to start to measure in a diagnostic way. Are we systematically creating the kinds of content that's related to our target keyword? So where do we start here? So first and foremost, again, everybody who's taken my classes knows I really emphasize that you create a keyword worksheet, and I put our keyword worksheet up there for people to download and copy. And think about your keyword worksheet in terms of content as a content management blueprint. What are you creating? And here's where your reporting and your measurement. So this is ours. We're going after SEO training class course, social media marketing training class course, certification, etc. So on my reporting tab, you can see I'm measuring my site penetration. I'm also measuring my page rank. We'll talk about that in a second. I'm measuring my total visits, and I'm measuring my goals at each month, so I really know. I'm measuring my followers across social media. So that's sort of a good measurement. Now, in each category, I know my keyword targets, and I know my derivative targets. So I'm measuring my performance across all my keywords so that I know where do we stand on any keyword group at any time, and I'm able to see the ones that I do really well and the ones that we do not so well on, so I can target those. Now let's flip back over here, and let's talk about some content diagnostics that are just sort of generally helpful. So one of my favorites is Wordle, and this is just a visual way. This is a visual way to look at your keyword density. So let me show you an example. So I have an example here from 21st Century. So let's go over and look at 21st Century, and let's look at one of their pages. So let's look at a page that they've written on, let's take renters insurance. Okay, so here's their page on renters insurance. Okay, now let's right-click. I'm sorry, I don't want to right-click. Let's just copy all the content on the page. My bad. Let's copy that whole page, just the visible content. So I'm going to Control-C, and then let's go over to Wordle, and let's paste that text. This is just a quick way of looking at keyword density, and hit Go. Let's hope that'll work on this machine. It requires Java. Now that page is targeting what? That page is targeting renters insurance. That's the target. You can see from the prominent headline. Now look at this picture of it. And let's make it a little bit better here. Get one I like. I like it when it does it. Well, that's not too bad. So what comes out? You can see renter is about the same level of a lot of the other content. It's really not creating a strong signal to Google on that keyword topic. So I like to use Wordle just to get a visual impression, a metric, so to speak, of my content. You could take this kind of a diagram to a meeting with your content management people helping you write content, and you can say, we're not really doing a good job of communicating our content. So that's one tool I like to get at sort of a content measurement. It's just sort of a graphic based on Wordle. It's also sort of a lot of fun. And then the other one that's good, let me go back over here. The other diagnostics that I think is pretty good is this MetaMind tool. So let's take this URL here, and let's open up MetaMind. So we're really getting at a content metric. Let's put that in here, and let's analyze. This tool often breaks a little bit too. Okay, good break. This force is being with us. Now here you can see on density it's not too bad, 3%. So this shows a little bit more. This is a little bit more nuanced way, but you can measure your density, and here's where you could have a worksheet in terms of diagnostics with your content people, and you could say, you know, I want that density to be higher. Look at the prominence. I want it to make sure it's in yellow. So you can use this kind of a tool to sort of give feedback back to the people who are creating content so that their content, both density-wise to sheer volume and structurally, is talking to Google. And that way you're not just sort of pulling things out of thin air in terms of your content. You have a defined keyword target and defined metrics that you can share as a team for your content. So I want to just make sure that made my list of diagnostic tools. So those are some content ideas for you. So do we know our keywords? That's our keyword worksheet. Are we writing keyword-rich content? That's Wordle. Are we structuring the content according to best practices? Those are MetaMin. So these are all diagnostics about how our content's working. All right, so now let's look at the third area. Let's talk about links and social mention. So another way that people really need to get into measuring is, are we getting links? Are people linking to us? Are we getting social mentions? So I have some sort of obvious tools here, or obvious to the SEO people. One of the best is Open Site Explorer. So here's a tool. Let's take 21st. So let's sort of take them and let's put them in. And here's a tool. Let me let that load. I can see it's a little bit slow to go over the internet. This machine does not have a fastest connection as the other machine. So I'll let that load there for you. Okay, now let me get my marker here. See the domain authority? That's an important metric for your total domains. So you put your website in here and you can measure over time, is that improving? And and why does it improve? It improves because of inbound links to your website. So the more links you have over time, this number should improve. So what you want to measure is say, okay, it's November 14th, we're at 65. We're going to build links, and work. And then measure it in December. Maybe you've gotten to 66. Maybe in 3 months you've gotten to 70. This is good, but let's compare them, to one of their competitors. Let's put in Progressive here. And I think it's good from a diagnostic metric measurement, because you can take this to your management, and your management says, well, why does Progressive outperform us? Well, they have, 100,000 pages in the index? We have 3,000. We're a 64. They're an 87. I need more budget to succeed against them in SEO. There's no way I'm going to succeed without a huge link building campaign, without a huge content writing campaign, etc. So this is a good diagnostic just to measure yourself over time, and also measure yourself versus your competitors and see, are you catching up with them. So I like Open Site Explorer because you can do, I think, 10 searches a month for free and get those numbers for yourself and your competitors. Majestic SEO has sort of a similar profile. You can use it if you like it better. I think it tends to have more information, but not necessarily as easy to use. We'll put in our website here and see. So it's just another way. So the idea here is to measure your link performance over time. And then let's pop over here into the keyword worksheet. And you can see here, we're listing our rank over time. We used to use the Bleco tool. So we're measuring our host rank and our domain links and our total links, and we're measuring those over time. And you can see from October to November, we improved 3 positions. So that tells us our link building strategy is working. We're climbing up. So really think about your keyword worksheet as this blueprint, as this dashboard for managing your SEO perspective. Now here, they don't give a number. I don't think they give a number, but they do give referring domains. So that's another tool if you want to use them. I like Open Site Explorer because it's nice and simple for this purpose. Finally, the other thing, which there isn't a great tool yet, but I do want to start measuring, is I want to measure my social sharing. So how would you measure your social sharing? Go to Topsy, and you can do something as simple as put in your name, JM Internet, and hit search. And then over here on the left, click on tweets. And you can measure in the past, so let's say past 30 days, I might do this once a month, And I might measure and say, you know, Topsy says there's about 265 tweets that contain my name. So I can measure, am I getting social mentions? The more social mentions I'm getting, the better off I am. Now look over here on the right for Topsy. And for those who are in a big corporate environment where you need to create lots of social graphs, you can just screenshot this or maybe download that picture and off you go. You have a way to get that. You can also create an alert for some of these things. So Topsy is kind of becoming my favorite new little search engine because it's the social web, and they're just doing a fantastic job, and I'm measuring that. Now let's talk about something else you want to measure. Let's go back over here and see this links right here. This is measuring the social sharing of your links. Now, what you do is put your domain in and hit search links. I've got so much software running it's going to break. And then let's put past 30 days. So it means there's about 14 shares of the link roughly. Some of those are self-referential. So you got to kind of play around with it, but you can get to some of your social sharing of links. So Topsy is not quite there yet, I think, as a perfect metric tool, but I do think for diagnostics, we want to not just measure our traditional link sharing, which is more mature, there's more established tools for it. We want to start paying attention to our social sharing. And we actually have a little tool that we built called Reputation Buzz, where you can put your name in here, your company name. You put your personal name if you want to. And then you can measure, you can see, it'll do the searches for you. So you can do, it builds all the searches for you, and it'll actually help you set up a Google alert for that as well. So that's another sort of measure tool. It doesn't really give you a number, but it's important. All right, so those are what I call link or social mention tools. All right, so now let's sort of shift gears and let's talk about knowledge diagnostics, okay? Knowledge diagnostics are what are we doing as an organization? So here's where, you know, I know a lot of people that take our classes are, you know, in corporate environments and they're struggling with their management who wants them to show up for free on social media, on SEO. So let's talk about time. How much time are we devoting to SEO? Is it truly a priority? If we want to succeed, this is something that doesn't cost money, quote unquote, but it certainly costs time and human resources. So start to measure how much time are we devoting to blogging, to measuring our links, to link building, and that gives you more of a factual-based discussion with your management about, is this a priority, or are we just giving lip service to the idea of succeeding? Also, just, are we focusing on all the derivative tasks, or are we sort of in this magical thinking where we just sort of think it will happen by magic? So that way, you know, you're trying to have a factual discussion, and the time and, you know, man hours, woman hours, whatever you call them, how much is being devoted to that. Secondly, related to knowledge is, you know, you have the knowledge that's already in your head, but then you have, are we systematically trying to learn it? Because this is something that changes over time. It's not the same, so are we systematically taking some time to learn? You know, obviously people who are taking this seminar, you're trying to learn and build up your reservoir of skills. So I want to show you one tool that I really use that's very, very useful, and that's the Google Reader. So let me log into Google Reader. Okay, so on Google Reader, what's cool about Google Reader is you can, it's such an easy RSS reader, and what I do is I sign up for the various blogs like Google Analytics, Webmaster Tools, AdWords, some of the social media blogs like All Facebook, and then I can spend, you know, a little lunch hour, a little morning, and I can log in and see, hey, what's going on in the community and read those articles. So your RSS readers, which I think is more sort of the nerds use them than normal people, very, very useful. So I have the links for you to get to Google Reader, so you can just sign up and, you know, drink the Google Kool-Aid, have a Gmail account, integrate everything into your Gmail, sign up for Google Reader, and then what you do is go, and I've given you a couple of the better sites like Search Engine Journal. You log at Search Engine Journal, and then you just click on this weird little orange icon, and that's going to add it to your Google Reader feed. So in that way, you've started to monitor that for content, and then what you do is you say, okay, every Friday when I'm, sort of burned out, I'm going to spend an hour, and I'm going to go and I'm going to read the official Google blog, and I'm going to see, what's out there that can help me improve my knowledge. So you want to start to think about your own knowledge diagnostic. I'm not going to be good at this if I don't make it a priority, and if I don't make it a priority to learn, and certainly to learn through all the free information out there, I'm not really going to succeed. So wrapping up here, we have used the cite command to monitor how deeply Google indexes our content. I try to get these in 7s. Measure our rank at least monthly across our keywords. Check our website speed. Use Google Analytics, and especially this big division between our SEO non-branded and our non-SEO traffic. Measure those guys. As we write content, we want to diagnose the keyword density, and I'm a visual person, so I like to look at it visually, pop that content into Wordle and see, is it communicating? So that's a sort of a weird metric, but I think a real important one. We want to pay attention to our links and social mentions and measure these over time. Are they improving or not? And finally, and I think this one is huge, we have to self-diagnose, is this a priority? You're not going to get good at it if you don't make it a priority. By showing up at today's session, you're clearly making this a priority, so kudos to you and your team. Then you want to think diagnostics over time, am I making this a priority? That's how you're going to really succeed. So now we have a little bit of time for some questions about diagnostics generally, or sort of open mic, whatever your thoughts are.
Okay, yes, I'm toggling, between questions. So let me see. Okay, first of all, I would like to address this question first because it pertains to, it's so vital to know this. Okay, this person asks, why is it that none of the SEO companies that approach us offer a free trial period where they prove that they can drive traffic to our site, and then, after they've dazzled us, ask us to sign a contract, write a check? He's saying they all want us to pay first, and then they will prove themselves, which I think is a very valid question that we've all experienced that at one point or another.
Yeah. I get these sorts of questions a lot, and I try not to step on any too many toes in the SEO industry. My take on that just in general is search engine optimization in particular, AdWords as well, social media to somewhat lesser extent. All three of those are endeavors that can be measured, that do have factual representations. So a good SEO company should be willing to take the Pepsi challenge. I'm not necessarily saying that they should want to do work for free and get paid if and only if, but certainly as you work with them, you should have a keyword worksheet, you should know your rank reports, you should have metrics on Google Analytics. Are you getting traffic? Where's the traffic coming from? You should have goals. If somebody's link building for you, you should be able to look at Open Site Explorer and see an improvement over time. This is not an endeavor that doesn't have a factual basis. So any SEO company that's worth its salt should be willing to give you reporting, and you should be able to ask them, probably for other clients they've worked with, and be able to show some results. So that's sort of the answer there. But unfortunately, the industry is sort of plagued by sort of black magic, and there's unfortunately some companies that just rip people off. But this is not hocus pocus here. This is something that has a lot of good, solid metrics to it.
Okay, real briefly, you had shown us a keyword worksheet, and I have a student that's wanting to know, will that come along with the recorded version of the webinar? Can you point them to it?
Yes, that's going to be in the links. I haven't built out the links, but I'll build those out this afternoon. And there will be a link to the keyword worksheet, and I have it here. It's in Excel, and it's just an Excel document that you can copy. And I'm just, again, this is sort of the other person's question. My feeling for anybody that's thinking of taking a class or thinking of taking a course, you should be able to see from somebody, that they get the rankings. And you can see that the reason these are in, black, they're the good ones. This tells me this is the one that's my current target that I'm really working on, and I'm trying to identify that. So that worksheet is sort of the proof of the pudding that we know what we're doing. We know our keywords and we're showing on them, and I think that's so important. So this is a model that you can use and sort of strip it out with our keywords, put your own keywords in there, and use it as a model, and that will be available.
Okay, now can you define page speed, and also how do you fix your page speed if it's not good? I mean, what do you do to fix it?
Yeah. Okay. So page speed is this guy over here, and it's let me go back up to where it is. Page speed. Where did I put it here? Okay. So Google is getting increasingly sort of concerned about page speed. What page speed? Hold on, I've got my other, I'm rebooting the other machine here. Oh, there we go. We put in here, we'll just put in 21st.com so we have something to look at. So this tool actually does give you suggestions. See here? So you put your website in here and it gives you suggestions. Now, they probably tell you something about what their score is. There are other tools in the class and in the workbook. I have other tools, but this is the Google tool, so I'm sort of, obviously more interested. But they actually do give you priority. So they says, like for our website, there are, or this is 21st. For 21st, as well as for ours, there's no high priority suggestions. There's medium priority, and you can actually click on that, and they will tell you some ideas. Now, some of this gets very technical. You may have to go to your computer programming person and say, how do I optimize for it? So that's sort of that what to do. This one of the things I like about this tool, it does give you information on what to do. Where the score comes from, I'm not that sure about that. I just know from looking at different websites, you will find websites that are in the 30s and 40s.
Okay, this person says, if we have not been keeping track of our keyword targeting or page rank, is there a way we can look up previous months or years for that matter?
No. Great question, and no. There is not let's go back and look at what we're talking about today. So for these guys here, for the cite command, no, there's no backwards compatibility inside of Google. There is some informational webmaster tools that would be historical. It's of somewhat limited accuracy. Rank, there is no tool that I know of that can go back in time. So there's no tool there. That's one of the reasons why systematically you want to do this every month, because you won't see your progress if you don't measure it. And if you don't measure it, everybody will, take you for granted. It's sort of like my high school dating career, right? They just take you for granted. So you want to know that what you're doing. So rank tool, not so much. Same with page speed. Now, Google Analytics, yes. Here, you can go and look at historical data. So you can. Now, there's a caveat here, however. Let me go into Google Analytics. The caveat on Google Analytics, okay, so let's sort of, I'll drill down here. So very simple. You can just go to advanced segments and just do the simplest one. Let's just do non-paid search traffic, apply. So this is a pre-built. It's not perfect because it's not differentiating between branded and non-branded, but whatever. And here you can go back in time. So you can say that's my October data, or the other thing I like to do, just very quick and dirty, very easy, is just put in 1/1/2012, put in a large date range. Change that to month. Okay, so now I have a large, and then I can hold my cursor and I can see, so SEO-based traffic 22,000 here, 14,000 here. So analytics has historical data based on advanced segments. What it doesn't have that you can't go back and tell is goals. Goals have to be defined first. Once they're defined, then you can measure them. So these are goals being fulfilled on the website, and you can see a nice upward sloping graph. If you don't define that goal, you can't go back in time. So analytics has the most historical, a little bit of jury rigging to get it to work. Pay attention to your goals. Rank checking, there's no historical data on that. And let me go back to the other, I'll go back to the other guy. Just bear with me, get back to the links here. I'm a visual person, I have to see it in front of me. So Site Command, no historical data. Some historical data in Webmaster Tools. Rank, no historical data, so you definitely have to capture that each month. Page speed, I don't believe so. Analytics, yes and no, with the big caveat being goals. But that is definitely a good reason why you want to measure your diagnostics each month.
Okay, is Topsy measuring Pinterest too?
Not that I know of. It mainly measures Twitter. Twitter is the most open of all the social media, so it measures Twitter. I don't know if it measures Facebook, and I can show you one that does. But the other thing it does measure is Google+. Yeah, it measures just Google+ and Twitter. So it measures Google+ and Twitter. I'm not sure if there's a tool that measures just Facebook. You can go to bing.com/social and monitor, but this is a real-time tool. It doesn't have historical data as well, so I'm not sure. So Topsy definitely measures Twitter and Google+, but not Facebook. And I don't think there's a tool that would measure Facebook shares external to using Facebook Insights. I think is what they call it inside of Facebook.
Okay, this person says, okay, when we were talking about links, with regard to links, can we quickly discuss the no-follow links and how they affect SEO?
Oh, quickly is a good question there. So no-follow links, what we're talking about here is, let's go over to Open Site Explorer, and we'll look at links, and they're going to give us the no follows. Okay, so no follow, for those who've taken my classes know that what no follow means is Google don't count my vote. That means the link from business.com to Progressive is not counted as a vote that Progressive is important. That's the sort of traditional meaning of the term. However, there are a lot of people, myself included, who believe it isn't a full ding that it's no follow. Google can't just ignore no follow links because there are a lot of no follows on sites like Wikipedia and whatnot that are important. So probably, think of a no follow as maybe an 80% deprecation in the value of the link from SEO, but it still has some value. So a no follow is sort of severely deprecated, but probably still has some value. The non-no follows are definitely more powerful. And what this is getting at here is telling you page authority is sort of how important you are in the pecking order. And it's saying that the fact that the Webby Awards has a link to Progressive, it's a very powerful page. That's a very valuable link. Business.com is super powerful too, but it's deprecated because they're using the no-follow attribute. So this is less of a, it's important from a metric perspective, but, quick and dirty, pay attention to your domain authority over time. Quick and dirty, pay attention to who you're getting links from in their domain authority over here. And quick and dirty, if it's a no-follow, maybe say, well, I'm going to throw out 80% of that, probably is a way I would look at that.
Okay, so this person says, I would like to know with Google Analytics if the new do not track options with various toolbars and antivirus software causes any actual loss in traffic in the software. That's
a good question. I'm not, well, okay, so do not track. What that is Google and this is sort of being, they're sort of being corralled by Microsoft on this one, believe it or not, to allow people to opt out of trackable software that's basically cookie-based. If you come in without a cookie, if the cookies are not tracked, then you're going to show up in Google Analytics. I have Analytics turned on. If you go over to Analytics and you look at traffic sources, search, organic, and what you'll see here, you'll see this huge number. So not provided means, for most of it, it means the person is signed into to their Google account and they're doing a Google search and they're hitting a website that's not HTTPS, it's not a secure website, so Google's not sharing data. But it would also mean probably somebody who has the do not track software turned on, because that's not going to allow the cookie to exchange data. So we are sort of living in a world, especially with these SEO keywords, where we're losing that data over time. We're losing the data of what keywords are actually performing for us, and that's just part of that ongoing trend towards sort of more scrutiny and privacy on the internet.
Okay, what are your thoughts on Alexa site ranks?
I don't believe Alexa at all. I don't really pay a lot of attention to Alexa. Alexa rankings are based on the Alexa toolbar, and there are not many people that have the toolbar installed. So I think it's probably okay as a way to look at a really large website, like say Progressive or Geico. It's not particularly good at medium and smaller websites. So I don't put a lot of stock in Alexa. It doesn't have the massive penetration necessary to really have a good data stream. So it's there. I don't really use it. I don't see a lot of value in what they provide in terms of a metric.
Okay, this person says, since Google also includes searches with synonyms, is it better to use multiple keywords of the same topic, for example, photography, photographer, etc., or just use one form of the word?
There's no easy answer to that question. In terms of SEO, the way to think about it is that the principles that Google operates on are best matching principles. So two websites are exactly the same in terms of link profile, in terms of inbound structure and all that stuff. The website that's closer to the search term will win. So if website A and website B have exactly the same page rank, exactly the same on-page structure, and one has photographers plural and one has photographer singular, and the search is photographers plural, the closer match will win. Now, in most cases, that's not that applicable because the match is not perfect and the two websites are not exactly perfect and don't have the same profile. So the general rule of thumb, try to get as close as possible to the types of searches that your customers are entering. The big one is don't miss synonyms. If it's lawyer, don't miss attorney, right? If it's fan, don't miss blower. Get the synonyms. Word order is important, and probably pluralization is the least important, but the general rule of thumb is the closer the match, the better. So all of this is about learning how your customers actually search and getting as laser focused as you can, with the caveat that things like links and social mentions and what builds your total domain authority. But there's no simple answer to that question because it's just one attribute of many factors.
Okay, let's see. This person says, is Jason working on the above material for the mobile market, or how is this information interfaced to Google Mobile?
Yeah, mobile search, we haven't done a class in mobile search yet. Where do I see mobile really becoming important? Mobile is very important for local search, especially things like restaurants, where people are walking around and they're looking in pizza and blah, blah, blah. When you're looking for a pizza restaurant, a sushi restaurant, something like that, on your Android phone, on your iPhone, hopefully if you're using the Google platform for search, Lord knows they're probably going to get rid of that on the iPhone. But the point being, mobile has a couple really important dynamics. First and foremost, the small screen size means that the advertising is crowding out the SEO on your mobile platform. So the couple ads that appear on AdWords are dominating the space and pushing down everything else. The second big one that's huge is mobile is very connected with social media in the sense of review websites. So if you're a pizza restaurant and you have a lot of reviews, you can struggle up to 1, 2, 3 on the Google Places, Google Plus local listings. You might have a chance of showing up on a mobile device. So it's really emphasizing sort of winner take all. It's actually helping with the ad from Google's perspective, helping drive people to advertise, and it's also emphasizing the Google Plus local attributes. It's one area where I really think if you're a local business that you feel people will use their Android devices, their iPhones, it's really something to think about is doing an AdWords campaign targeting only mobile search because that will get you to those pages. So it's definitely a trend. It's impacting certain websites more than others, and I think it's less a change in the SEO game and more a change in because of the format, how things show on the mobile device is making it more winner take all. I don't think the logic of the game has changed. It's just the cut line is much higher. It's not the top 10 anymore. It's the top 2 for mobile searches that seem to really matter.
Okay, do you feel SEO Yoast is the best for WordPress?
There are 2 good plugins for WordPress. Yoast is certainly really common, and SEO All-in-One for WordPress. I do feel that all of the plugins, they only get you 10% of the way. You still have to know your keywords. You have to write good copy. You have to tag correctly. Unfortunately, those plugins, I think, are somewhat misleading in that they act like this is a technical problem. You still have a huge amount of homework to do in terms of understanding your keywords and writing good copy and creating a good tag structure for WordPress. And because they're purely technical tools, they don't help you if you don't know how to play the game. So they're good, and I think Yoast is a good tool from what I've seen of it, but don't get misled that it's going to solve you. It's sort of like my gym analogies. Yoast and SEO All-in-One, those are like the shiny new exercise bike that you're going to get for Christmas, and you can look at it and it's beautiful, it's got bells and whistles, and if you actually rode it, you'd actually get in shape and lose weight. But if you just look at it while you're watching TV, that doesn't help. So the tool is only a tool. It only gets you so far, and you still have to have the knowledge to succeed. And I think those tools tend to mislead people a little bit in that same as the shiny new exercise bike problem.
Okay, when it comes to content, what are your thoughts using rich text snippets in the HTML code?
I'm a huge fan of rich text snippets. First and foremost, the most important one is your authorship. So what we're talking about here, rich snippets are how you get things like movies and videos and stars and things. And this is where you get your pictures to show. That's a rich snippet being driven by authorship. And when you do some of your searches, you'll get ratings. If you do pizza in San Francisco, you'll often get ratings to show up. Let's see if I get any stars, but those would be rich snippets as well. And those are huge. The big snippet that's coming is the authorship, which gets the picture to show. And then I think the stars are out there. There's been some arguments in SEO about the stars, that people are manipulating them and sort of junking up the system. And I think that's sort of out there as a dynamic. But that's definitely another wave that's coming.
Okay, there's still a lot of questions coming in, but let's see.
So maybe one more question, and I think it's time to wrap up before the software crashes and kills us all.
Exactly. Okay, so I'll just look for a brief one, but all of your questions will be answered, even if they're not answered here live. Jason answers every one of them via email, so don't worry about that. So let's see, quickie question. What do you feel is the best SEO keyword research tool?
Funny question. Of course, the Google tool is great, but I'll tell you the tool that I am just finding more and more and more useful is literally, when I'm writing a blog post, is just go to Google, and let's say I'm blogging on SEO tips. Go to Google and just put in SEO tips space, and then put in A, B, C, D, and use the Google Suggest to get ideas. The Google Suggest, the thing that's really good about it for keyword discovery is, first and foremost, it covers everything. The main keyword tools break down at low volumes, and most people are writing about topics that don't have a lot of volume. Secondly, it's extremely real-time. So if you put in Petraeus, who's having his whole problem here, if I can spell his crazy name. And you'll see here, look at this, Petraeus Affair Scandal. It's almost instant in updating off of trends. So I really am starting to use Google Suggest. And the other thing you can do that's very cool with it is put in like a keyword and then go to the beginning and put a space in there and then put in A and put in B, and put in C. And as you're blogging or you're writing content, you can see what people are searching for, and you can still paste them in the other tools. But I actually like this a lot for keyword ideas and keyword discovery. So I think that's actually underappreciated as a very easy tool for keyword discovery. So Noelle, wrap us up. I will answer questions by email. I'm sorry about the software glitches. I'm going to call tech support after we're done and plead and moan a little bit and see if we can find out why this bug keeps occurring in our software.
Okay, thank you, Jason. So yes, we have run out of time today. Everyone, I do want to thank you all for attending today's training. Any questions that were unanswered, Jason's great. He'll answer all of them by email. So there were a lot of AdWords questions and questions of that nature. Jason he'll be really good at answering all those via email. We're going to be starting our next session of SEO paid trainings, which are really popular. Those are going to begin December 4th. You can find out more about those classes by going to our website, which is actually on the screen for you, jm-seo.org. Also, we teach classes in social media as well as Google AdWords. You can find out, like I said, you can find out more by going to our website. We do also more free webinars. We just did one yesterday, for example, on the top 10 tools for Google and SEO. That's a really popular webinar. So if you haven't taken that one, you'll definitely want to at least see the recorded version of that. Everyone loves that one. We do offer these lunchtime webinars once a month, so be sure and check back often, as we like to provide at least one a month of these lunch sessions. Any questions you have, our contact info is on the screen. We're always happy to answer your questions, always happy to help you out in any way that we can. Have a great rest of your day, everyone. Thank you, Jason. We'll see you all real soon.
Okay, bye-bye, everybody.